The Galactic Council was a monument to excess. Its domed chambers shimmered in layers of alloyed crystal and dark matter plating, orbiting a dead moon like a crown on a corpse. Inside, the diplomats of 72 species postured beneath banners stitched from the skins of extinct things. They smiled without meaning, voted without conscience, and ruled without remorse. Earth had no banner, no voice, no vote. Its representative sat in the rearmost observer's seat, shrouded in matte black cloth, face unreadable. He had no name on the council roll, no designation, no translation node. He sat. He listened. He never spoke. The others called him many things: ghost, placeholder, punishment, myth. But no one called him what he truly was. They didn't dare. Ambassador Galactic of the Vrex Dominion leaned toward his whispering peer, the ambassador of the Keldari Synod. Why does your council still allow the human to attend? A symbol. Nothing more. Their planet contributes nothing. Their species barely meets the requirements for spatial civility. Let him observe. Galactic chuckled with a throat of wet stone. The last time we underestimated Earth, it took 43 solar cycles to recover. You remember the siege of Elkanos? They were desperate then. Savages, driven by loss. They are still savages. They've just learned to sit still. The man in black did not move. A new motion was raised, unlisted, undocumented, illegal. The council called it a procedural review of minor system allocations. But everyone knew. The 7 key diplomats had drafted it in silence. Revoke Earth's council status, declare its territories unclaimed, and divide its resources among the superior species. Earth wouldn't get a chance to object. Humans weren't allowed in closed vote. The motion would pass in 2 days. They forgot the man in black was listening. Back on Earth, there was no outcry, no protest, no warnings, no diplomats summoned. But one signal pulsed into the void. Tightly encrypted, quantum-phased, undetectable by galactic surveillance. It hit the receiver embedded in the Boogeyman's neural spine. His pupils contracted slightly. Nothing else changed. A Vuxi aide tried to offer him a nutrient vial. He declined with a slow blink. In the private chambers, the 7 plodded over plasma-mapped star charts, laughing as they divided Earth's oceans and orbital lanes like spoiled nobles cutting up a corpse. The man in black remained seated for 22 hours without moving. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat. He was remembering every voice, every word, every breath. The first diplomat to die was the most arrogant. Ambassador Churl of the Dronari Collective entered his quarters after a victory banquet where he toasted Earth's dissolution. Inside, his security systems flickered. Doors sealed. The air turned metallic. His retina scanner flashed green, but the lock never released. He activated his implant distress beacon. It looped endlessly. His screams never left the room. When his aides arrived, his body was a bag of flesh filled with froth. Internal tissue had been emulsified. No sign of struggle. No breach. No poison detected. Council logs recorded cardiac arrest. No one questioned the man in black. The council labeled it unfortunate. Random. A genetic defect, perhaps, until Ambassador Zeltri of the Kvar matriarchy died the next cycle. She was found in her floating spa chamber. Lungs collapsed inward as if the air had turned solid. Medical drones failed to penetrate the lock. Autopsy drones reported negative oxygen pressure. The chamber door was sealed from within. Still, no alarms. Just quiet fear. Diplomatic whispers grew heavier. Security around the human increased. Cameras, drones, kinetic turret. All monitored him. He never moved. His vitals read as stable. Resting heart rate, 45 BPM. Neural pattern, flat calm. A low-ranking analyst flagged a report from the Galactic Archive. It referenced Earth's discontinued Project Holloman. An urban myth turned weapon. An operative bred for silence, not destruction. For surgical fear, not battlefield glory. The file was accessed by Ambassador Rulka of the Thurn Syndicate. He read the name aloud. Boogeyman. Then he scoffed and deleted the file from his personal log. He died 22 minutes later. His escape pod, launched from a private hangar, was intercepted by a Council maintenance drone reprogrammed with Earth's encryption. The pod self-vented. Body unrecoverable. That was 3. The Council convened a crisis meeting. Only 5 of the 7 conspirators remained. All denied knowing who accessed the illegal motion. All denied connection to Earth's planned expulsion. Earth's seat remained silent. For the first time in decades, the Galactic President addressed the human. Representative of Earth, do you have a statement? The Boogeyman raised his head by 1 degree. Then returned to stillness. The others interpreted it as weakness. Or madness. It wasn't. That night, Council surveillance hubs detected 0 anomalies. Yet Ambassador Nuka of the Grawl Ascendancy was found eviscerated inside his armored meditation cocoon. He had been folded inward, as if the cocoon had imploded with gravity force measured in megatons, impossible within a Council station. Logs showed no force application. No breach. Ambassador Vale shrieked at security to place her under constant psychic shielding. She was found at the edge of the arboretum, naked, eyes missing, covered in her own blood, raving about whispers in her veins. Her neural implant had been hijacked with a looping signal repeating one sentence. Listen when we are quiet. Only 2 remained. Panic infected the Council like radiation. Diplomats screamed at one another, demanded Earth be expelled retroactively. Emergency votes collapsed into shouting matches. Multiple species withdrew envoys out of fear. The Boogeyman watched. Council drones recorded a diplomatic aide crying outside the chamber, shaking as she whispered, "He doesn't blink." How does he not blink? One of the remaining 2, Ambassador Ulzat, initiated a lockdown and fled to the deepest levels of the station, escorted by private assassins, energy null fields, and 2 psychic sentries. None of them survived. Ulzat's body was found without bones. The final ambassador, Truin of the Tlark hierarchy, tried to barter. She sent a private message to Earth's delegation, begging for clemency. It was never answered. She initiated a full security seal and activated the station's internal void lockdown, designed to prevent total atmospheric collapse. For 20 hours, she waited in silence. Then the door opened. No alarms. No breach. The Boogeyman stepped through. She screamed at him, trembling, voice cracking. "You're not even armed. You're just a shadow. This isn't sanctioned." His voice was calm. "You mistook silence for permission," she begged. "We can retract the vote." He stepped closer. There was never a vote. Only judgment. Static consumed her mind as her neural implant ruptured. She collapsed. He left without looking back. The Council chamber remained quiet. Earth's representative returned to his seat. The lights overhead flickered. No one dared enter. Council records later noted that Earth's delegation had not made a single verbal statement during the entire month. They had filed no protest. No objection. No threats. Just silence. 7 chairs remained empty. No investigation was launched. A plaque was mounted beneath the human's seat the next cycle. It read, "The Galactic Council did not convene for 12 rotations. Delegates from systems 3,000 light-years apart submitted silence instead of speeches. News of the 7 diplomats' deaths had spread without official statement. No autopsies were shared. No causes announced. Only one fact remained. Earth had not spoken and 7 were dead. The remaining council members treated the man in black like a singularity. Eyes avoided him. No one shared a lift. Even mechanical drones adjusted their paths when he passed. The seat he occupied was never cleaned. No aides approached it. It became a void in a room built to echo power. For the first time in council history, no one motioned to expel Earth. No sanctions were raised. No public inquiries made. The council simply moved on. But fear doesn't retreat. It hibernates. Security protocols were rewritten. biolock doors quadrupled. Independent faction leaders transferred their physical bodies off station. Even species immune to fear biologically began installing emotion inhibitors. Every preventative step whispered the same thing. The Boogeyman was not done. He wasn't. He had listened long enough. Now the message needed to be delivered. In orbit above the planet Galactic, the Council's temporary envoy ship detonated. All crew were vaporized before they could signal distress. The blast pattern was designed to appear accidental, until investigators found a signature buried inside the ignition algorithm. A 7-letter encryption. Earth. The Council filed no complaint. The explosion was declared an unexpected plasma convergence. No one challenged it. No one demanded clarification. Across the galaxy, minor systems that had once supported the anti-Earth resolution received anonymous transmissions. Audio only, distorted voice, simple message. Observe. Understand. Stay seated. 3 days later, the central archives of the Galactic Trade Guild collapsed. The AI core had been infiltrated with a recursive logic loop written in dead human languages. Thousands of years of economic records reduced to digital dust. The Boogeyman remained seated in the council chamber. He never moved. He never typed. He never accessed a panel. He didn't need to. Internal records showed he had wired himself into the quantum mesh of the station. No ports. No devices. His own nervous system interfaced with sublayer comm threads beyond detection. He wasn't hacking the system. He was part of it. The species that had once funded the campaign against Earth began to disappear. Not governments. Not militaries. Just individuals. CEOs. Generals. Strategists. All vanished. No remains. No comm logs. No ransom notes. Just gaps. Perfect, clinical deletions. It wasn't war. It was erasure. Council members started holding side sessions without Earth's delegate present. The man in black always arrived regardless. Always silent. Always one step ahead. Eventually they stopped trying. A junior diplomat once whispered to his mentor, "What does he want?" The answer came not from the mentor but from the human's own seat, which echoed with a voice low and synthetic. Equilibrium. A pattern emerged. Every species involved in the betrayal of Earth faced retribution, but not extinction. Systems were crippled, not destroyed. Fleets disabled, not annihilated. Their power was adjusted, recalibrated, diminished just enough to become irrelevant. The Boogeyman wasn't eliminating enemies. He was balancing the board. Entire civilizations began teaching their young about silence. About respecting the seat that speaks without speaking. One species outlawed sarcasm in government, fearing misinterpretation. Another rewrote their first contact protocol to include a mandatory Earth clause. If human, yield. Yet Earth made no formal moves. No colonies expanded. No fleets deployed. No alliances offered. The human governments never spoke through official channels. No presidents. No premiers. Only one presence represented them. A man in black. Still. Watching. Then a signal pulsed across the galaxy, origin unknown. A call for new council leadership. Not by war, not by succession, but by merit. 7 candidates presented themselves. None were human. None referenced the prior death. All danced around the silence, pretending the past had been forgotten. But on the morning of the leadership vote, the station's gravity fluctuated. Not failure. Not attack. Just a single second of disorientation. A reminder. When the vote was cast, all 7 candidates stepped down voluntarily. In their place, the man in black was nominated by unanimous decision. He declined. No speech. No explanation. Only a gesture, 2 fingers raised. Translation protocols interpreted it as Earth's response. "We're watching." He stood. For the first time in 8 council cycles, he walked. Every being present stood still as statues. None blocked his path. As he passed the door, it closed behind him with no sound. His seat remained empty. The next cycle, Earth's flag was added to the chamber. Black field, red slash, no crest. A plaque below it read, "He does not represent us. He reminds you we exist." That was the last time the Council saw him. But signals continued. Across mining colonies, research rings, remote diplomatic summits, whenever Earth's name was removed from official charts, someone vanished. Whenever trade routes avoided Terran space, ships malfunctioned. No evidence, no claim, just consequences. Humanity never claimed vengeance publicly. They never made demands. They never occupied. They simply observed, and when necessary, reminded. A century passed. Then two. The story of the 7 diplomats became legend, then taboo. The seat once reserved for Earth remained vacant, but was never reassigned. It became part of the chamber's architecture, treated like a load-bearing structure. Engineers were forbidden from modifying it. A new generation asked who he was. The elders answered, "He was the reason we still listen when Earth is silent." In time, the Boogeyman became folklore across species. A warning without wrath. A ghost without grave. And though many began to doubt he ever existed, they still paused when making decisions. They still checked shadowed corners. They still waited a second longer before speaking ill of Earth. Because silence, they had learned, is not the absence of threat. It is the promise of judgment. And some promises do not need to be spoken to be kept.